love pretending to be wizards and shit.
Welcome back to Tales Arcane and to another episode of Heroes of the Highlands, The Fate of the Fallen, our ongoing actual play series on the channel where we follow the adventures of three unlikely heroes. I'm not always convinced that they are heroes, but they're trying their best. It's a hard world to be a hero out there. We are going to basically dive right on in. This is, I think, the fifth episode we're on now. I think it was the fifth episode of what should be around 7 or 8 episodes. We'll find out. Before we jump into that, there will be a short recap. I also just want to quickly thank Jessica Bowen, art.of.job, over on Instagram, who did the wonderful character art, and a big shout out to Nerdius Maximus Studios, the incredible person who made all the music that you'll hear throughout the whole show this evening, throughout all the episodes, and Nerdius's music is all available through their Patreon, which you can also find linked down below this video. Without further ado, let's see our little recap from last episode and then dive in.
There is something bad coming after 2 more sunsets. It's coming to the town, it's coming to the valley, and nowhere is safe.
The question is where you're walking to. So right now you're at Erlin Falcay.
The castle! The castle!
There's bandits near the castle. My ideal situation would be getting them on side to help us fight the angel.
It's a relic, a religious relic of great significance, but it's said that that is a horn that was blown by the angel at the moment of Rannich's victory. At this moment, you hear a sound. A few dry leaves trembling down as the roaring of this horn begins to fill the air, and then the corpse hanging from the tree begins to twitch. The corpse hanging from the tree begins to move, its body writhing and twisting before your eyes. And as you look up at it, as the crow on its shoulder is crushed in one of its rotting hands, wrapping around the crow's neck, snapping it, pulling it down, a pale white light begins to glow within the eyes of the undead farmer, this sort of radiant glow emanating out, almost like bright sunlight from the eyes as the zombie begins to writhe and thrash on the tree, its arm reaching up and clutching at the rope around its neck. It seems to be, to some extent, immobile. It's pinned there on the tree. It can't get down for now, but it's kind of thrashing back and forth before your eyes. What do you want to do?
Sorry, is it like stuck with like metal through it, or is it being hung? Sorry.
It's being hung, but it can't get down right now. It's hung far out on a limb, and now it's just thrashing back and forth in the air.
How far are its legs off the floor?
The legs are about 5 feet off the ground.
So Glut just saw this thing kill a bird, so I am going to run up to the legs and I'm just going to start pulling on them with the intent of like either snapping the rope or the rope pulls this thing's head off.
Give me just a straight athletics check as you start to pull this thing.
That is a 26.
Weight of the corpse already is pulling on the tree branch. It was thrashing and moving back and forward. The tree branch began to creak up and down. With Glut heaving on the legs, the branch snaps, crashes to the floor. The dead body and the branch just come down on top of Glut. Glut, do you want to try and get out of the way, or are you just staying in there?
Is there a way that as it's falling, I can try and like catch the corpse? My goal is to bring it onto the floor with me on top of it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's coming down. You can just grab it and pull it down. It's just that you will probably, if you're not making any kind of dex save, you'll probably get hit by the branch as well. But
I do not care.
Absolutely. So D6, and that's only going to be 2 points of bludgeoning damage as this tree kind of crashes down over you, but you don't even notice it. You're focused in on the bird murderer that you've just wrestled down to the ground. Can you roll initiative?
That is a 21 for me.
21 for Glut. Zell, what do we have?
15 for me.
Excellent. And Boglach?
4.
In that case, top of the round is Glut.
So, like, this isn't rage that Glut's feeling. This is, like, mourning. This is upset. Like, this is... It was too sudden and too explosive for Glut to be, like, angry at it. But Gloat's still just there's just a part of Gloat that the moment they see like cruelty to an animal, they just have to act. So as as I'm pinning on top of this creature, I'm not even drawing my sword. I'm just gonna start like raining blows on its head. I'm just gonna keep trying to like punch. I want to basically mash its face into the ground.
Absolutely. Just give me unarmed strikes as you start pounding your fist down into this corpse.
So the first one's a 16, and the second one is a nat 20.
Those both hit.
So that is 1, 4, 5 plus 6. That is 16 bludgeoning damage.
16 bludgeoning damage. Your fists just pulverize a whole portion of the face. The skull caves in under your hands. Rot was already beginning to set into the corpse, and you just pummel through the cheek, see teeth and congealed black blood spray out onto the ground around. 16 damage. It's still alive, but heavily damaged. Anything else you want to do here?
With that, you'll just see as Gloat's doing this, there's just like tear tracks going down like either side of their face. They're crying while doing this, but with that, I'll end my turn.
As your turn ends and that fist comes down, crunching into the side of the face, one of the eyes caves in and the light almost spills out, like light spilling through a cracked mask. This glowing, painfully bright, radiant light begins to spray up out of the shattered skull. Over to Zell. Your friend is down, getting down and dirty with this zombie.
Is completely stunned and doesn't really know what to do, but I guess like out of instinct she's immediately pulled her bow and arrow and is pointing it at the zombie. Where's the light going? Is it like the
light is just shining up. It's almost like there's a white bright lamp directly behind the eyes within the skull.
Okay, so she's gonna shoot an arrow just at the light.
Absolutely. I would say because Gloat is kind of on top of this thing right now, it gets a little bit of it just gets a bonus to its AC of +2.
Okay.
Its AC is already horribly low, so you're good. 18
to hit.
That definitely hits.
Okay, so that is only 5 points of piercing damage. So yeah, she's aiming for the light kind of on the face, obviously avoiding Gloat at the same time.
You fire that first arrow down, and Gloat, you see this arrow sprout out of the mass of debris that is now the left-hand side of the face as one arrow strikes in. Zell, do you have another attack?
Oh, I think I do. Sorry, I'll just do the same again.
Absolutely.
17 to hit.
Also hits.
Perfect. So again, aiming for the light, that is 11 points of piercing damage.
As that second arrow lances into the face, the light winks out. The body goes still.
I just keep pummeling its face until it's literally just like a mass of like blackened pulp against the other side of the road.
Unrecognizable, destructed mush is left. Teeth, bone fragments, no sign of any light. Just a very messed up corpse.
Is the bird still in its hand?
The bird dropped from its hand onto the ground, so the bird is just lying a few feet away from you.
Is it completely dead?
It is completely dead. Its neck is broken.
I'm gonna pull out my sword and start just like burying like a small hole. I start digging a small hole in the side of the road.
Absolutely. You guys watch as your friend just rises, kind of fragments of this corpse's face still clinging to her hands, and begins to dig this small grave.
Zell's just going to turn to Boglak and be like, what in the hell's just happened? Did that horn...
I guess we know what the horn does now.
The town. There's a graveyard in that town.
That's why we need to get moving as quickly as possible. But I can respect you wanting to lay that animal to rest, Glip.
As they say, I'm just going to call over to my shoulder. Yeah, maybe that's why the sword's in the graveyard, so we can get all the zombies to help them look for it.
I mean, yeah, perhaps.
If the sword's in the graveyard. We don't know it's there.
I'll place a small bird carcass and just bury it up. Glut's kind of over like the crying part of this, but Gonzalez is just like incredibly upset. And we'll just start heading back northwards towards the castle that they were going.
Zell will follow on behind,
Is there
pondering everything.
is there possibly like one of the feathers that when the bird hit the ground it left behind?
Yeah, there's still a kind of long black feather still clinging to the hand of the dead farmer.
Could I pick it off and then give it to Glut and just say, this horn sounded out across the land, so I can't imagine this is the last thing we're going to meet rising from the dead, so maybe look at this and fight as good as you did there.
This like tiny act of kindness just makes Glut just like break down a wee bit, just drop to the knees and just like sob into their hands. They'll take the feather first, but they just need this like emotional release for a bit.
Zell's gonna pause and put her hand on Glut's shoulder. Comforting.
And then after just a few long wails, I stop and I get up. Like Glut's not very like wordy, so they just a nod of respect to them both. They just like snort up, snort up all the snot that was streaming down their face and wipe their eyes once more. Then start heading back northwards.
After the almost deafening sound of the horn, then that moment of intense violence, then these long drawn-out sobs from Glut, the silence that comes in around you now as you walk back up the hill is almost heavier and more intense than it was before. You are walking northwards, gloom closing in around you, the clouds hanging low overhead, and you know now that although you couldn't see it behind the clouds, the sun has now set for the second time, and you know the sun will set once more before the whatever is coming comes. Through the gathering gloom, you can see, looking north along the glen, a little bit just east of the road, the hill slopes up to a low stand of pine trees. Peeking up over the top of the pine trees, you can see the broken shard of a stone tower lancing up.
I think we need to plan our next steps pretty carefully.
Yeah. So what's the plan for these bandits? So we just want to get rid of them, or we want to try and bring them over to our side?
I think if we can bring them over to our side, that would be a good idea. The more people that are able to fight in the village, the better.
The bandits are infamously known for not having heroic final stands with villagers.
I do realise this. But maybe some of them are related to Ranach as well.
Alright, so do you want to try appeal to their humanity? Then if not, we'll just butcher them?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I guess my worry is the crows spoke of between 5 and 7 of them. I mean, we're fierce fighters, but 5 or 7 could easily overwhelm us. So I feel like just walking in, if we try and then, if the tables are turned on us, if they don't appeal to humanity, we could be in a tricky situation.
You two can go ahead and let me position to make sure the odds are more even. When I was first starting to learn how to fight, my first sword master told me that the best thing you can do is never start a fight fair.
That's good advice.
I'll take it.
So you two can go ahead, and I'll make sure that if it does come to blows, and I hope it does, then I can help try and even the odds a wee bit.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, I'll let Zell and Boglak take point for this, and I'll for right now hang back only 5 feet. But if I start seeing if I start hearing the noise of people or seeing campfires, Glut's just going to try and melt into the trees.
Okay. Does anyone have a passive perception of above 13?
I do not.
Yes.
Boglach, you can smell on the night wind the smell of a cook fire, a little bit of wood smoke, animal fat hitting the flames. Hard to tell exactly where it's coming from, but you can get the sense that the wind is blowing down from the castle towards you.
We might catch them during their evening meal. They might have taken off armor. They might be relaxing. Odds
Well,
slightly more in our favor.
If that's the case, then I'm good to sneak up, and we've obviously got you to have everyone even to talk in the first place. We can just wipe them out.
I really want to try appealing to their sense of humanity first.
Okay.
If it's not working out, then you know you can come out, Glue.
Okay. I'll follow your lead on this one, Zell.
Okay.
I trust you.
I do feel like though Glute's strength and power might be more appealing to people of the bandit persuasion than myself.
Maybe I'm better long range anyway. Maybe I should try and get up somewhere high.
And send Boglak alone to the talking?
No, I don't want to send Boglak alone.
I think Boglak can be incredibly persuasive when he chooses to be.
You can be.
I can, but my throat slices like any other. So, taking on 5 to 7 people does not. I don't know if that's within my wheelhouse.
In that case, do you and Zell want to try and hide together, and I can try and appeal to them?
I don't want you going in on your own either.
I think I'll be fine.
Okay, I tell you what, you go in, I'll get somewhere high, Boglak, you hang back.
Okay.
Okay, so, we want them to fight for us?
We want to try to get them to fight for us.
Okay, so how do
and
we...
you could come and say that you're coming from the village for help, because you know this big thing is happening tomorrow.
Should we try and, I don't know, lie to them about like a payment? I've never known nothing to motivate bandits better than gold.
Yeah, sure. Promise the town's gold to them.
Promise the town's gold.
Don't need to promise the whole town's gold.
No, not the whole town's gold, but like
every copper piece in that town belongs to these bandits. I got it.
Maybe just promise them a payment, yeah. And if they ask how much, then you can
one payment.
What I would suggest is keep it vague. If they ask what it's worth, just say gold. If they ask how much, just say more than you'd imagine.
All of it.
More than you'd imagine.
Don't say all of it.
Don't say all of it.
It has to be all of it. More than you imagine. If they didn't imagine anything, imagine some made-up number.
But I don't have any gold on me, so.
I have all the money. I don't even know if we have a lot of money at this point.
You have it all, Zell.
Look, would you like me to come along with you?
No. I think I know what I'm doing. I can do this. I can do this.
Okay. After this conversation, Zell's going to look around to see if there's anywhere that she can get a good vantage point and kind of like stealthily creep up so that she's up high, keeping an eye on what's happening down below.
So where you are right now, you're coming through the trees, you're following a small dirt path that runs off the main road into the forest. You can see a little bit through the trees the dark mass of stone of some kind of outer wall. You can't really see much more than that, although you know there's a tower that seems to rise up centrally within the castle. I'd say that if Glue's going through the main entrance, Zell and Boglak, I think you're both going to find some sort of alternative spot at the moment. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
In that case, I'd say both of you should give me investigation checks and see, as you guys kind of skirt around, what you can kind of find out about the space from the outside.
Okay. And forest is one of Zell's favourite terrain types. Does that count here?
Let me just check. What do you get for your favourite terrain?
Hang on a minute. I've accidentally... So, your proficiency bonus is doubled for proficient skills when you make an investigation or wisdom check related to it. While travelling for an hour or more in your chosen terrain, difficult terrain doesn't slow your group's travel, and we can't become lost.
Excellent. So yeah, double your proficiency bonus for that. But that's a good call. That's the first time this favourite terrain thing has ever come in handy. When I've been running games with Rangers.
Just in the history of 5th edition.
In like the whole
ever.
It probably 27. Is. 27. Okay, excellent. And Boglak?
I got, I believe, 11.
Okay. Boglak, also, are you guys going together, or are you going to like doing like a full circle, or are you just kind of watching it from the outside? What's your approach here?
I would say Zell specifically looking to see if she can scramble up somewhere, see if there's a vantage point that's going to be higher, whether it's like the walls, the tower, a tree, like somewhere where she can keep an eye on what's going on.
Totally. I'd say on
In
that
the woods.
on those checks, Boglach, you kind of glance through the trees, but you're not able to get a real clear vision of any particular useful point. There's a large stone perimeter wall, about 60 feet high, running around the exterior of this castle, and a large broken tower rising about 50 feet above that, going up towards the sky, broken off near the top. That seems to be towards the sort of eastern side of the castle. You guys are approaching from the south, from the southwest. Zell, you are able to get a good understanding of this space. You skirt around the exterior of the castle and you pick up on a couple of key features. So, there are 2 trees that overhang the perimeter wall that would give you potential access to climb up and then get onto the wall. One is on the southwestern side, quite close to the main entrance, as far as you can tell, the only main entrance. The other is on the northeastern side, right next to that broken tower, and quite far away from where the main entrance is. There's also an area, also quite close to the main entrance, just on the northwestern side, opposite where that overhanging tree is, where the wall is totally kind of crumbled away. There's just an aperture through the wall going into this firelit space within. You didn't really get a good look in, but you can tell that there's some kind of campfire just inside the wall, close to that gap. And then there's the main gate as well.
Okay, Zell's going to turn to Boglach and be like, I'm going to hop up that tree at the southwest side and watch from up there.
I am not going to hop up that tree because climbing has never been my strong suit. But is Gloot still here?
I think at this point, Gloot, I imagine, because you guys have separated off to do like a circle, and I think Gloot is probably at the western side near the main gate.
I will head back towards Gloot then. But I'll not enter into the perimeter, but I'll see if I can do that sort of like peeking around the wall and seeing where they are. But I can't get up, so I need to go around to the main entrance.
You head back round to where Gloot is then?
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know
you come to talk.
Oh, would I be able to see Gloot? I don't know if Gloot would have just stormed on ahead.
Well,
That would be
Gloot,
very
that's really up to you. When your friends went off to search around, did you head straight in or did you hold back?
No, I do have dark vision, and Gloot is very methodical when it comes to potentially dangerous situations. So Gloot would probably have checked to have seen exactly where Zell was, so Gloot can try and set things up to make things go as smoothly as possible. Gloot is silly goofy till it comes to killing people. Then they're very serious.
In that case, if I'm able to catch up with you, I'd probably just say Zell's going to hop up that wall. I've never had the legs for that. But what I do have is a way to maybe even the odds in your favour. Now, Do you know the most charismatic animal there is in nature?
Gonna punch him lightly on the shoulder. You?
That's a good one. No, apparently it's an eagle.
Oh.
Eagle's splendor. I don't know why. It's just what my master taught me. Is that when you enhance someone's ability, you imbue them with eagle splendor, and that helps them with charisma, and chatting to people. So envision, if you will, an eagle, and imagine you are the eagle. And then I
really
will cast
charismatic
enhance. A really charismatic. Think of like wing spread. Gloot. I don't know why an eagle is charismatic. Genuinely, now that I think about it, it was never covered. I can understand a cat.
I'm not saying they're not. I'm not questioning you on this.
Strength, a bear's endurance. I can't understand why an eagle is charismatic.
Okay.
If anything, they're quite rude when you talk to them. But,
Boglock, I think this is you imposing some sort of story that eagles are incredibly uncharismatic. I believed you from the get go.
No, seriously. A fox is cunning, an owl is wise, but I don't understand.
I believe you. I believe
I'm questioning it. Anyway, I am viewing you, and I'll mutter some arcane words and sort of touch your shoulder gently. I'm viewing you the charisma of an eagle, and I'll say, and maybe you could use that squawk if shit hits the fan, and I'll run around this wall and come and help you because I'm just going to be standing outside here, I think, for the next wee bit.
So I don't want to tell you how to do your magic stuff, but sorry, it's going to sound quite.
I feel like you're going to, but okay.
Yeah, no, this is going to sound quite rude. Can you transform into animals?
I can, but I can also maintain my concentration on a spell. So I could turn into an ant and sneak in.
I was thinking...
very clever. It seems like the maybe I cast the cunning fox.
Maybe eagles are
ability
smart
on you
and
instead of-
charismatic.
No, the eagles are only charismatic. Trust me. You would know.
Okay,
You would know
okay.
if you had the cunning of a fox.
If there's one person that won't argue about the charisma ability of eagles, it's me. Don't worry.
It's fair.
Yeah,
I'll be pondering this on my journeys. That's for sure. Trying to further druidic knowledge on why we decided eagles were charismatic. Anyway,
Is Zell up the tree by this point? Because I feel like she will just be. Oh, I'm up. Oh, I thought that was my screen for a second. I was going to say, is Zell up the tree at the moment? Because I feel like she's just watching this all happen, like, what the hell is taking so long?
I think, yeah, Zell, you've gone up that tree. You don't actually have a good vantage point to the front gate, but you just saw Boglach dart around with great intention towards Gloot, and then they've just not shown up yet. I'd say up that tree though, you do have a good vantage point into the castle. You can see that the castle is divided into two areas, one western, one eastern. The western area, which is the closest to the main gate through which Gloot will shortly be going, that's the area that you have a good vantage looking down into it. The eastern area is much larger. That's where the tower is. That's kind of a little bit separated off with another interior wall, and you don't have a clear viewpoint into that at the moment. Looking down into the courtyard in front of you, the western courtyard, you can see that several tents have been set up, along with some spiked wooden palisades to create some rough defences within the castle. The structure of this castle is pretty worn and gone. It's basically just the perimeter walls, the tower, and some crumbling dividing walls within the castle between the two courtyards. But they've evidently tried to patch it up a little bit with their own wooden kind of reinforcements. There's a couple of rough canvas tents, and in one corner, quite close to where that breach in the wall is, on the northern wall, is a campfire. Sitting around it, you can see 3 individuals sitting down, and gleaming in the campfire you can see a large, broad-shouldered half-orc, a blue-scaled dragonborn, this hulking kind of draconic figure, and a human with short, cropped brown hair and a few days of unshaven growth on his chin. The 3 of them are sitting around a campfire, seemingly turning some small animal on a spit. It looks to be a rabbit or something of that ilk. As you're up there, is there anything you want to do just while you're kind of killing time and before your friends make their move? Anything you want to prepare?
No, at the moment I'm okay. Maybe. Yeah.
Excellent. In that case, Gloot and Boglach, are you ready to make your move?
Yeah.
I will use Wild Shape, and because I'm 8th level, I believe I can turn into something with a flying speed. So can I turn into a golden eagle?
Yes, a charismatic golden eagle. You absolutely can. And does that mean?
Gloot and I'll see if we're both as charismatic as each other, and then I'll start twisting and popping, and feathers will start shooting out. It's actually, if anything, a little bit disturbing given your last experience of seeing feathers pop and crack on a human form.
Gloat is enraptured by the transformation. They think it's really cool. It's maybe the thing they're most jealous of Boglach for.
And what does the eagle's blessing that you've bestowed on Gloot do exactly?
So it's a 2nd level spell, enhance ability, concentration up to 1 hour. You touch a creature and bestow upon it a magical enchantment. Can choose one of the following effects, and I've chosen Eagle's Splendor, which is the target has advantage on charisma checks. Which actually makes sense because eagles are quite splendid to look at, so maybe it's the draw to eagle. Boglach thinks this as they turn into an eagle because I look quite splendid. Hold on a second. And start squawking a little bit at Gloot in this new form. trying to explain it.
And as an eagle, are you staying outside or are you flying up also to the perimeter wall?
I think I'll go the opposite side because it's just about 50-60 foot wall, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I'd
60
go to the
foot.
opposite side of where Zell climbed up, so we're kind of both looking down, and I'm ready to spring to action if stuff starts going wrong.
Absolutely. You're over on the northern wall where the breach is in the wall. You're looking down almost directly above where this campfire is. And although you can't see her perfectly blended into the tree on the farther side, you know that Zell is now in position over in the branches. Glut, what would you like to do?
I want to stroll right into camp just with a cocky swagger, as if this is my camp.
You stride on into camp through the main gate. Can you give me just a perception check as you walk through that gate?
Oh, that's a 9.
You stride through, and your foot hits a narrow wire stretched across the entranceway. That kind of tugs for a moment, and then you hear a loud bang, 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 bell ringing, echoing around. As you walk through, announced by this bell, the 3 figures around the fire leap to their feet, weapons rasping from their scabbards, and the Dragonborn shouts out, "Who goes there?"
Someone looking to speak to your chief.
They pause for a moment, seeing that it's just you on your own. The half-orc turns around and goes, "Is it just yourself, or do you have any more companions?"
I'm here to deliver a message, and I alone was trusted for this task.
Can you give me a deception check?
With advantage, that is a 15.
Not bad. You say that, they seem to relax a little bit visibly. They glance between each other, and the human steps around the fire, looks towards you, and goes, "Ah, so you bring in a message. From whom do you bear this message?"
Just this rich, semi-noble person from Kinranic.
Is that right? Oh, you bring a message from the villagers. They're telling us that they want us to vacate the area. They're going to be sorely mistaken. The boss don't turn tail and run so easily.
They're not looking for you to steal your weapons, actually. They're looking for you to draw them.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you guys, I'm sure, here because you're making pittance coins by robbing some lowly farmers and some, minor travelers. What's that? I was a bandit myself. That's pulling in what, each 15 gold a week if you're lucky?
Well, we may not be making the most gold in the world, but that's because we're still waiting. We're playing a long game. We have a valuable prisoner, and that's going to pay off any day soon. You sit yourself down. If it's some kind of mercenary work they want from us, well, Chief might be interested, but you'll have to speak to her.
But yeah, by all means. Do I need to wait for her here? Can you show me where she is?
The Dragonborn points to the fire and goes, "Take a seat by our fire."
I casually sit down.
You sit down. The half-orc reaches over and goes, "You hungry?" and begins to slice off a piece of the rabbit.
Oh, for what?
Us, rabbit. It's
Rabbit?
a bit gamey. It's a bit gamey, but you cook it long enough, the meat starts falling off.
How many are around the fire?
There are 3 around the fire.
There are 3 around the fire. I'm gonna say, actually, excuse me, fellas. I gotta take a piss. Can you excuse me just for a second?
Aye, piss to your heart's content. The half-orc kind of shrugs and begins to cut off a bit for himself.
So, can I maneuver myself into a position where I'm, to the back of at least 2 of them?
Yeah, I'd say you could walk around almost looking for a place to kind of relieve yourself away from the fire. You can walk around into the corner of the wall directly below where a large eagle is perched, over to some bushes. You're now behind the half-orc and the human.
So they can't see me?
Do you want to be completely... They can't see you, they're looking at the fire.
Yeah.
The Dragonborn still faces in your direction.
The one that's got their back to me, I am going to run and unsheath the compelling argument, and I want to try and just stab them in the back.
The one you're charging towards is the half-orc who was cutting off the meat. He's leaning forward, oblivious to you, and slicing into this thing. You turn around, you draw your sword, you lunge towards them. Roll to hit. And I would
advantage?
say, even he's sitting down with his back to you, you absolutely have advantage.
That is a 24.
That absolutely hits. Your blade cleaves into him from behind, tipping him forward into the flames. Roll damage.
15 slashing.
15 slashing damage. Can we all roll initiative? So as you can see on the map, you guys are over at the sort of crammed in around the western side of the castle right now. We've got Boglach up on the castle wall, directly overlooking the campfire. We've got Zell on the southern side of the western courtyard, looking down from the tree, and Glut in the thick of it, having just landed a brutal blow on the back of this shocked half-orc who was caught completely blindsided. At the top of the round, we have Glut.
So see, even though like I initiated combat with an attack, if I go for an attack now, do I still get my 2 attacks?
I'd say yes. The first one was just kind of a thing that happened out of combat, and we've now entered.
For that first one, that is a 21.
21 hits.
For the second attack roll, that is a 16.
Both hit.
Oh, so because both my attacks hit as a bonus action, I can roll a additional attack, a pommel strike, and that third one is another 16 to hit. So
16 is his AC, so that hits as well.
So I've not raged yet, so it'll be a bit less damage, but that is 2d10 plus a d6. So that's 11 plus 50. That's 26 slashing damage.
26 damage. You bring that blade crashing down again and again, slamming in the pommel. With that last pommel strike, you're taking them down.
Oh, sweet. Okay, so I would love to say... So obviously he's got his back to me, so I like shove the sword into his back. And what I want to say is like I've gotten it back, and just with the rest of my attack, I just shove the blade up, like splitting him in half essentially. So I want to look at... The Dragonborn can look at me, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And when I almost like a here's Johnny moment as like Glut's head appears from this like body splitting in half. I just want to shout at him. I go, "This is where you either run or go and get your friends." And with that, I'll end my turn.
That blade rips up the body part, and as that body splits in two, the Dragonborn looks through the sundering halves and sees your blood-spattered face on the farther side, lit from below by the flames, as his companion's body crumples into the fire, blood spilling out, partially quenching down the flames before they roar back up around his corpse. There is a moment of stunned silence, and then steel rings from scabbards as they leap into action. Next up is a figure who isn't in that courtyard yet, but Zell, you glance over and you can see a heavily armoured dwarf come moving out of the eastern courtyard, begins to hurry towards the sounds of battle. For this turn, he is just going to spend his turn dashing. He's going to get to here. He runs down through the courtyard towards the main battle, sprints through the partially broken perimeter wall that splits the west and east courtyards, and emerges from behind the palisade. You can all see him now as he runs around the edge. He's got a heavy battle axe in hand, but that's going to be the end of his turn, and next up is Boglach.
Amazing. So, just to double check, it was the half-orc that got slain there?
The half-orc is dead, yes.
Would I be able to see what armour I'm looking for one of them that's wearing metal armour, and if I can reach them within range.
The dwarf
wearing metal armour?
The dwarf is wearing full metal plate. The Dragonborn is wearing metal studded, so it's leather armour with metal studs, and the human is wearing just leather armour.
Amazing. In that case, just to make sure that this would work in terms of movement and stuff, would I be able to, as the eagle, fly down with my 60 feet of flying, bonus action out of being an eagle, and then cast heat metal on the dwarf with metal armour on?
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. So yeah, 60 feet, and then it's a 60-foot range for the spell, and then I've got some thing movement outside of flying or whatever. I can't remember the rules for that. It should all work. So yeah, I will basically, seeing what's happening, hearing steel ring out, so knowing that there's going to be a retaliation and not a running away, I'm just going to soar down and just before I hit the ground, transform, do a forward roll, maybe badly, and then cast heat armor or heat metal on this individual. You
do that forward roll. If you don't mind, give me an acrobatics check just to see how smooth that is.
Fair. Very fair. 13. Not the
Okay.
worst.
On a 13, you stick the landing. Like, it could be a little smoother, but in the heat of battle, you just streak down in bird form. The feathers flow off of you as you kind of reverse that horrible body horror transformation, rolling through that forward roll and right up into the... you get right up close to cast that.
So heat metal, it's got a 60-foot range. It is concentration, so I'll drop the...
Perfect.
I feel Glute feels slightly less
Yeah.
charismatic as an eagle for 2 seconds.
They actually
Or
felt
for
kind of more
the rest of the
scary
time.
than charismatic.
I guess there's a splendor to scariness. But yeah, I'll just drop that and concentrate on casting on the person. It's a con... Oh, it's... What am I looking at here? Sorry. So yeah, I'm choosing the armor of the person is within range. I believe it just starts glowing red hot. And
It does.
If they're in physical contact, I'll cast it at 4th level using one of my slots for that, so it'll be 4d8.
Fire in. The dwarf runs out, readies his great axe, and then his armor begins to glow, spreading out this dull red, baleful light across the ground. As smoke begins to rise up from within it, you can smell burning flesh as it begins to cook alive.
So it's 18 fire damage, and it says if a creature is holding or wearing the object and takes damage from it, the creature must succeed in a Constitution saving throw or drop the object if it can. If it doesn't drop the object, disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until the start of its next turn.
Damn.
Which
And that's an
Yeah.
11.
I believe the save would be 16 because that's my spell save DC. So yeah, it has to try and take the armor off, or I'll have disadvantage on attacks and ability checks.
Okay, that is already starting to change the dynamic of this fight as the dwarf, evidently a heavy hitter, begins to stagger and sway, cursing and grunting under his breath, clutching at his armor, heavy plate armor, not easy to get off as it begins to burn him. Anything else you want to do in your turn?
Nope, that'll be me.
In that case, next up, the human is going to blink, kind of coming to terms with the situation around. Boglach, what are you on the map that I'm seeing? Is that where you are?
So I guess I would have had to fly down, so yeah, I think I would definitely probably be in between.
Right in the
Blute
thick
and
of it.
that person. Unless I could go the other side of them to give Blue. Yeah, I guess it's just the angle of it, but I would definitely be next to them. I wouldn't be able to get away.
You are just next to the lank-haired human with the stubble who is coming to terms with what's just happened. He's seen his friend absolutely decimated. His other companion has arrived and begun to burn alive inside his own armor. The human bandit spins around towards you, Boglach, draws 2 short, jagged blades. They seem to be slightly serrated on the edges, and goes, "I don't know who you are, but you shouldn't have crossed the bloody bard." And he lunges forward to attack. First is for a 18.
Go ahead.
Second is for a 19.
Go ahead.
And that will be 14 points of slashing damage as these short serrated blades slice into you, biting through the leather and furs, drawing blood. He is currently focused in entirely on you as he begins to wail on you. Anything else he can do at this point? No, he's kind of crammed in here with the fire on one side, you on the other, Glute on the other side.
It'd be 2 concentration checks.
Yes, that was 2
armor.
separate attacks, yeah.
So the first one, it's a saving throw, yeah?
Yeah, just a con saving throw.
Cool. First one is 13, so all good. Second one is 18, so all good. So even through that, keep...
You stay focused, the pain intrudes upon your mind, you push it out and stay focused on that magical link between you and the burning armour. Next up is the Dragonborn. The Dragonborn, again, blinks, looks through the bloody mass of his friend who's now slumped into the fire and goes, "You've made a mistake," and heaves up this huge claymore over his shoulder. This is not one of these beautiful, elegant blue star steel claymores that the chieftains and Glut carries. This is an ugly weapon carved out of basic, brutal metal, stained with what might be rust or might be old blood that was never cleaned off it. He takes it in his two hands, lunges across the dead body of his friend, pressing in against Glut here, and begins raining the weapon down. First one is a crit, I'm afraid. That is going to be 15 points of slashing damage from the first blow. But is that halved? Are you raging?
Nah, I'm not raging yet.
15. Second one is a dirty 20 to hit. And that is going to be 9 points of slashing damage from the second blow as the claymore lashes down into you. That's going to end his turn, and next up we have, up in the trees, Zell.
Zelle's obviously just been watching all this chaos unfold beneath her. She's got her bow, and she was initially going to go for the dwarf, but he looks pretty not great right now. So she decides to go for the human who's beside Boglach and sends 2 arrows in very quick succession at him. So that is a 21 and a 12 to hit.
The 21 hits.
Perfect. So, with that one, that's 10 piercing damage. So she's aiming right for his neck. The second one can obviously go on past.
That first arrow, you see him focus in on your friend Boglach, begin to lash in with these short lacerating blades. Your arrow strikes him, not quite hitting the neck, but taking him in the shoulder. He staggers slightly, becomes aware that there is someone else in play here, but isn't entirely sure where you are right now.
Perfect. And she's, just remembering in the kind of like confusion of it all, she then casts Hunter's Mark on the human.
In that case, anything else you want to do, or are you ending with that?
That's me.
The dwarf, it's not his turn yet, but as this is all playing out, he kind of glances over his shoulder, still clutching at his burning armour, and he shouts, "Jaina! Need a little help here!" His voice echoes back through the eastern courtyard, and Zell, glancing over, you see a figure stride out from the shadows of the tower. Tall, red-skinned, curling, jagged horns. One slightly broken off, as if it was broken at some point long past in a fight. The other curling like a ram's horn round the side of the head. This tall woman with long black hair, tumbling curls around her head, wearing fitted sort of black leather armour, 2 swords hanging across her back, strides out and goes, "What is it this time?" And then peers through the gloom towards the sort of flickering flames, the multiple shadows cast across the wall, takes a deep breath, and red wings snap out from behind her back as she up into the air, flies up into the air, and flies to here, floating above the banister. Red bat wings spread out on either side of her. She looks down, surveys the mess of blood and guts, sees the dead body of the half-orc and goes, "Not another one," and begins to twist her hands. You see a burning flare of flame begin to creep up from within her palm. She's going to angle that towards... I'm going to roll for this to see. She is going to target Boglach again, I'm afraid. Boglach, let me just roll for this. That's going to be a 26 to hit. So that hits.
That definitely hits.
You'll take 14 points of fire damage as a blast of flame radiates down towards you, scorching around you, almost echoing the pain that you're inflicting on the dwarf as the flames lick around your neck and singe at your hair. Can you give me another concentration check?
I rolled an 18.
18, beautiful. Even through that pain, you're able to maintain your concentration as this figure floats above. Can you all give me Arcana checks? Or nature checks, actually. Kind of could go either way.
Would I be able to
Whatever
do
you
nature?
feel. Absolutely.
Nature is 18.
I got a 9.
An 8.
Surprisingly, in this moment of remembering the deep lore, it is only Boglach who looks up and just has that moment of clarity of, that thing has wings. Tieflings don't have wings. That's a cambion. This is demon spawn, servant of greater demons, not your average tiefling. In that moment, she's going to end her turn flying just a few feet above the wall, about 50 feet up above the ground, and we're going to go back to the top of the round with Glut.
So I do not care about the person that stabbed me, but I've seen Boglak been hit by not one but two people. So I'm gonna bonus action rage. I'm then just gonna move this. We're just gonna move one square over here, so I'm to the back of the human, and I'm going to recklessly attack with both my attacks. So the first one is that is, even with advantage, that's only a 12. Attack number 2 is... Damn! Oh, that's even worse. That's a 10. Both of them... Oh, fuck. Okay, with that, I end my turn after those 2 misses.
You run in, but this is kind of very cramped space between the flames, the wall, and the human to be able to get a good swing with the greatsword. Throws you off a little bit. You don't manage to land those hits, and we go over to the dwarf. He is going to just take a deep breath, look up, see his commander flying overhead, and despite the pain that he's in, taking that disadvantage, he's going to run forward. At this point, he's going to run to Boglach. No, he's going to run to Glut. Actually, he's going to kind of struggle to get round there. So there's a lot of people pressing in around Glut, so he's going to run to Boglach, who at this point is the only person he can really physically get to on the map between the tents and the flames. Running forward at disadvantage, he's going to make his hit. The first one definitely misses. On the second one, it's a 13.
My AC is 14, so it misses.
Boom. Thrown off by the pain that you're inflicting on him, he lunges, swinging at you. The smell of burning flesh fills your nostrils. He cannot land a blow. You are now being kind of pressed in against this northern wall of the courtyard. You've got the human bandit on one side, the dwarf directly in front of you, the cambion fluttering overhead. He is going to end his turn there, and we're going to go over to Boglach.
I'm going to have trust in Glut being able to deal with the bandit. So I'm instead going to bonus action heat the metal again, and then I'm going to poison spray the dwarf as well.
Oh, so that's another 2d8?
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of with one hand twist it, and there's a flash of fire as the metal reheats, and then with the other hand I'm just going to press it, not press it I guess, but just right in front of their face, spray them with poison. Hand-to-hand combat, but in a very magical way.
Yeah, this is arcane fist fighting, essentially. Is that a ranged attack or a dex save?
So I'll do each of them separately. So the heat metal is another 2d8. They can do another saving throw, I believe.
So he can't drop. Basically, he can't drop the metal. It would take him about 15 to half an hour to fully dequip. So he's going to stay in it. If the con save is to resist the kind of mental effects of the pain, I suppose, then on that he did quite well, and he rolled a dirty 20.
I think so. The wording's a little bit odd, but if you want to rule it like that, I think it makes sense, because otherwise I feel like
yeah,
sort of,
I think we'd rule it that he takes all the damage. He just is able to focus through that so that his next attacks won't be at disadvantage. But then if you damage him again with it, we'll re-roll, obviously.
Perfect. So yeah, it'll just be the 10 fire damage, and then it's 2d12, and it's a constitution saving throw again for the poison spray.
Oh, that is 12.
12. It was a DC 16, so it's going to be 2d12 damage. So 8 poison damage.
8 poison damage. He's looking pretty beaten up. You're hitting him, maintaining that blast of fire from within his own armor, continuing to bubble his flesh and burn his hair. This is a horrible fate that he is suffering. At the same time, spray that poison into his face. Anything else you want to do?
I feel like Boglach sort of tries to start looming over and almost pushing them down with just battering them with spells, and is just trying to invoke a bit like their companions. This I don't imagine Boglach thinks of themselves as quite an intimidating presence at times. So trying to invoke that kind of this demon has scared the shit out of me, but if I be as intimidating as I can be. maybe this will end sooner. So just concentrating on that.
Hell yeah. Next up, the human. The human doesn't realize that at this point, Gloot is behind them, getting ready to attack, because both of Gloot's attacks missed last turn. So the human bandit is going to continue to attack Boglax. Looking up and seeing the Cambion, feels a bit of renewed energy, realizing that his chief is here and the battle for now seems to be roughly in their favor. He's going to attack again twice with his blades. The first one on a 6 is not going to hit. The second one will be a 13.
AC 14.
Both hits miss. Again, this is tight space that he's fighting in, and the smell of his literally burning alive friend right next to him is really throwing him off. There's also pulses and flashes of magical energy happening within inches of his face as this battle plays out, so he is not on his game. He does not do anything here. The Dragonborn lunges towards Gloot, that huge claymore coming down again. That is for 25. So that's going to be 14 points of damage, reduced down to 7. Second one is 15 to hit.
That'll hit.
And that'll be 9 points of slashing, reduced to 4, as the blade lashes down once again. Ending the Dragonborn's turn, we go over to Zell up in the trees.
Zell, again, kind of watching this, she's a bit mind blown by the Cambion coming out. But she's going to focus her attacks on the kind of cluster of people, you know, to try and help everyone out from where she is. How is the human looking at the moment?
The human bandit is looking relatively well. He's taken a bit of damage, but not nearly as much as the dwarf.
Okay, so she's going to focus her 2 arrows on him. Again, hoping to hit. She's obviously also cast Hunter's Mark on him. So, that will be a 20 and a 26 to hit.
They both hit.
Okay, so the first one is only 5 points of piercing damage. She is aiming for his neck again. The second one, however, is 13 piercing damage. 13,
beautiful. That first arrow kind of embeds itself in part of like the leather armor on his shoulder. It has a bit of an impact, leaves a bruise, but it doesn't really deal a tremendous amount of damage. The second arrow strikes down, finds a notch right between 2 plates of leather armor. Blood sprays out across the leather. He kind of reels against the wall.
Perfect. And because I've got everyone so close together, I can use my Horde Breaker, which means I can attack someone else with the same weapon if they're within 5 foot. So she's going to go for the dwarf. No, she's going to go for the Dragonborn.
Absolutely.
That is attacking Gloot. 23 to hit.
And 23 absolutely hits.
And it's 11 points of piercing damage. She's kind of aiming for like the bit, because I assume is the Dragonborn facing Gloot?
The Dragonborn is facing Gloot, totally focused, no idea you're there.
Perfect. Okay, so she's aiming for that kind of like little bit behind where the kind of scales come back, and it's that kind of looks.
I'm so sorry. I just realized I mixed up my health. That's not going to kill him.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't think of
my mistake. It was because I was looking at the dwarf's health.
Yeah, 11 points of damage. I didn't think it was going to kill him.
11 damage does a good job, though. He, bringing up what looks like another blow over Gloot, kind of staggers slightly, reaches up towards his back as that arrow sprouts out between 2 blue scales.
Perfect. End my turn.
In that case, the Cambion is going to glance between the various figures on the battlefield, and then is going to look towards you, Zell, and a smile spreads over her face, and for a moment it's like you're the only person in the world that she's looking at, and there is so much warmth in her smile as she peers towards you, and for a moment you thought she was harsh and angry, and yet now you see just so much kind of kindness, and you just want to be closer to this person, and you hear this voice, her lips move, and the voice echoes in your head as you hear her say, "Come on now, we could work this out as friends. You never liked this kind of violence anyway, it's so ugly." And at that moment, can you give me a charisma saving throw?
19.
Shake your head, and you remember that image of the farmer hung by his neck from a tree, left to die. This is not your friend. You take a deep breath, and you are immune to the fiendish charm of this cambion for the next 24 hours. That is its action, so it's going to... realizing that didn't work, that didn't actually have an impact on you, the cambion is just going to fly out of sight and drop a little bit down behind one of the walls nearby, essentially getting full cover from everyone on the map right now as she vanishes down behind the ruined stonework of the wall separating the two courtyards. Ending her turn, we're back to the top of the round with Glut.
Glut is still just really hyper-focused in on this human, so they're going to recklessly attack and go for all their attacks again.
Beautiful.
So hopefully I can roll better. First one is a 17.
Hits.
And then I'll just roll the second one now as well. That is a 26.
Well, absolutely hits.
So on that human, that is 8 plus... 8 plus 10 is 18. 18 plus 14 is 32 slashing damage.
How are you doing that?
So this person's obviously to the back of me. Are they wearing some sort of cape?
He's wearing like a short red half cape.
Okay, so I just want to grab the cape and with enough force, yank it so like he falls on his back in front of me, and then just pointing towards the floor, just stab it into his neck.
You look at this person who has been relentlessly attacking your friend Boglach. You reach up, you grab that, yank him down, he hits the ground, the wind driven out of his lungs as he looks up. The last thing he sees, your face covered in his friend's blood, lit by the burning flames. The blade comes down, severing his neck. His head rolls to one side into the flames.
And because I landed both my attacks, I want a bonus action pommel strike the Dragonborn. It's been attacking me.
Beautiful.
So with that is a 25.
You swing round, slam that pommel into the Dragonborn.
For 10 bludgeoning damage.
You hear a crunch, sickening crunch, as the scales cave in, shattering almost like blue pottery, breaking under the impact of that blow. Anything else you want to do?
From there, I want to just move, just to be nearer Boglach. I feel like Glut in this moment is just trying to, almost have like they're sort of in a parry position, just trying to see if they can try and intercept anything coming from the Dragonborn or the dwarf. Just shoulder to shoulder with my comrade in arms.
Standing right next to Boglach, the dwarf is up next, and the dwarf is going to attack Boglach. First one is a 17 to hit.
That will hit.
That's going to be 13 points of slashing damage as his axe bites into your side. As that axe bites in, you can see this burning black mark kind of spreading up around his neck as the metal plates of his breastplate burn against his skin. His beard is smouldering on fire now at the edges, and as the smoke rises up, his eyes streaming peer through and goes, "How dare you burn one of Gwallen's line?" And he's going to swing in again. That is going to be an 18 to hit.
Oh, I also rolled concentration on the previous one, and I rolled 11. So I just hold on to it.
You hold on to it. That's going to be 13 points of slashing damage as the great axe bites into you once again, ending the dwarf's turn. Boglach, you're up next.
I am very low on HP. Oh, somehow I roll an 11 plus 2 con save, which means I hold on to the concentration, which means I'm on literally 5. I know this is meta a little bit. I'm on 5 HP. I am not doing good.
Hang in there.
So Boglach is like battered, bruised, bloodied. Like, is not used to this close, like, I don't know, being beaten down on. And it's just with all the rage and might within him, is just going to, like, almost trying to, like, no, it won't change anything, like press in and crush the center of that plate armor as they will reheat the armor and just try and melt and crush. And it's just going to scream, "I don't even know your clan."
What's the damage?
I don't even know who you are.
2d8, 10 fire damage.
He had 4 HP left, and as you shout that,
Yeah.
he goes, "How dare you burn one of the line of Gwallen," and you press that flames down into him. You don't even know the line of Gwallen, and the flames intensify within the armor. The armor begins to bubble and run down his chest, the melting molten metal flowing through burning skin. He lets out a final high-pitched scream and falls to the ground dead.
Would casting that heat metal as a bonus action, I imagine it would count as casting a leveled spell?
Yes.
Okay, in that case I don't have a way to heal myself, so I think Boglach is going to... He's in an okay position, but it's just going to drop back sort of towards that wall, just at the corner of it, sort of like steady himself upon it, and sort of like nod towards Glut, like, I'm still here, I'm just sort of taking a step back for a second, and trying to think what to do.
Okay, as you step back, the Dragonborn lunges towards Glut, bringing that blade down once again. First one is a 13.
That will just miss.
That will be a 24.
Will hit.
And then there's going to be 14 down to 7 slashing as that claymore slashes down towards you once again. His companions are dropping like flies around him, but as he's attacking you, every now and then he's glancing up, almost, you can't tell, with fear or with reverence towards the place where the cambion dropped behind the wall. You get the strong impression that presence is what's keeping him here, keeping him in the fight. Next up is Zell.
Could Zell cast Cure Wounds on an arrow and send that at Boglach to try and heal him?
It doesn't sound like it would work, but it sounds awesome.
In the words of the great Matt Mercer, you can certainly try.
But I end up killing him instead.
That would be some way to go.
Because you're so low on health, but it would be such a Zell way to cast that spell.
I was trying to heal you, that's why I shot you with the arrow.
Like,
It's your fault for not catching it.
What?
She must have been charmed by the cambion.
I can understand. There's no way you could have resisted it.
I'm trying. She's really hot, guys. I'm trying to decide if I should do that or not, just to see what happens. But also super aware that you're so low on health that it's not really a time that I can test it.
I also don't know if it would work.
I don't know if it would work either. The arrow would just be like super strong.
If Zell thinks it might work, Zell can have a go. But Boglach
Zell do.
has several healing spells and knows that you need to touch that shit or send that shit.
Yeah.
There's a reason why there's healing potions. They're separate. They're separate things. Now you tie a healing potion to an arrow and fire that. That makes sense.
Okay, instead she's gonna send 2 arrows. Oh my god, my head hurts. She's gonna send 2 arrows at the Dragonborn. Okay, so the first one is 27 to hit, and the second one is an 18 to hit.
They both hit.
The first one is 4 piercing damage, and the second one is 11 piercing damage.
Nice. The Dragonborn is looking absolutely bloodied and broken by this point. Scales spilling off, blood pouring down, dark blue blood dripping onto the ground. Not looking good. Anything else Zell wants to do?
Yeah, no, I think I'll end my turn there.
In that case, next up is the cambion. The cambion is going to fly back up into range above the wall, and is going to look down at Glut and Boglach below. Look down at the smouldering corpse of the dwarf inside the bubbled metal armor. Can you both roll me a d20?
No more, just flat number.
Just flat number.
12.
Yeah.
Did you say 2?
Yeah.
The cambion looks down towards the broken body of the dwarf, then up to Boglach and goes, "Shame," and whips up another ball of fire, flies it down towards you. That will be a 15 to hit.
I'll hit.
16 points of fire damage as this blast of burning flame ripples down, hits into you, and you go to the ground. The last thing you kind of glimpse is the red face of the cambion lit by the flames. As you fall back, you can see Glut standing over the dead body of the human, the bloodied dragonborn looming over them, and then darkness. The cambion is going to go back down out of sight, vanishing behind the wall. Ending the cambion's turn, we go to Glut.
I see my friend fall unconscious, and I scream, just a guttural howl. It's not the noise that any humanoid creature should be able to make. And I'm going to recklessly attack the Dragonborn. You said it's pretty low.
Yeah, it looks like it's on death's door.
Has it got less than 8 HP?
Yes, it does. It's on. Let me just check.
I've rolled a 26, and the lowest I can roll is 8. So
yeah, it is 3 HP.
Okay, so in which case, after this howl, I'm just gonna grab the back of its head and just slam it into mine, and its head just like explodes on impact. I'm screaming all the while, so blood and an eyeball and some brain matter falls into my mouth, and I swallow. I am then going to just so I can make an attack, and I can still move. Yeah. So I am then going to start heading. See this kind of barricade here? How tall? Like to the southeast of me? Like how tall is that barricade?
White wooden barricade is about 10 feet.
10 feet tall.
Yeah.
And in that case, see, because I've only used one attack, can I try and just run through that wall? I know there's spikes on it, but can I just try and like shoulder tackle to go to them? Because that's the most. Or how tall is the wall to the right of me?
The wall to the right of you, the stone wall, that goes up high. That's up to about 50 feet.
Okay, I'd like to move 1, 2, 3, 3 squares down this way, and I just want to try and barge through that wooden barrier here.
Totally. Just make an unarmed strike as you just charge into this wooden barrier. It's not the best constructed thing.
That is a dirty 20.
Dirty 20, your shoulder slams into the wood, and rotten, you can tell they've made this out of sort of defective, slightly waterlogged pieces of wood. The wood just shatters before you as you come out the other side like a cannonball.
Okay, so that means... So if I landed here, would that have taken it, because that's 2 squares, would that have taken another 10 feet of movement, would you say?
Yes.
Okay, so I've moved...
Because you're basically just
1,
going full
3,
speed.
4, 5. Okay, I can still move 2 more squares, so I want to move up towards the Cambion here, so I can kind of see her in sight.
Absolutely. You move through the shattered kind of what was once a gate in the internal wall into the eastern courtyard, and you can see floating just a little bit below the parameter, the parapet of the 50-foot stone wall, about 40 feet above you, the Cambion fluttering in the air. You're looking up to her. We go over to Boglach. And Boglach, you need to roll your first death saving throw. And on that note, we will end tonight's episode. Thank you all for watching. We will find out the fate of Boglach and the gang next session. Shout out, as always, to Nerdiest Maximus for the wonderful music, to art.of.job, Jessica Bowen for the incredible artwork you can see on the screen right now. Links to both their pages below this video, and we will see you next week.